Iron and Infrastructure Podcast Introduction. The podcast that ties together fitness and construction, shifting the industry narrative and giving insight on how to become a business owner while living life under the bar, weightlifting, personal development, the infrastructure industry, and how to merge the two worlds to achieve prosperity. I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery. All stand and applaud, please.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. All right, on today's episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast, we have the regular monthly visit with Cory Gregory.
What up, what up?
And we have to talk about a mantra that is something very near and dear to both of our hearts. It represents so much more than being prepared for life. It represents a mentality, grit, preparation, and relentlessness to the biggest degree ever.
Facts.
We brought this little friend into mine. Cory's is way better than mine, by the way. We'll get that on the show next time. Pack a lunch, Cory Gregory.
Yeah, what's good, Jake? Thanks for having me back. Look, it's interesting. I just gave this talk to Dennis in baseball the other day because Coach Deegan asked me to come over, and he said that he had some guys that wiggly about playing time and just like, you know, wanted to really just get their mental game like on track for if you're not in the spot you want to be, what it's going to take. If you are in the spot you want to be, what it's going to take, and just that whole mentality. And I've been kind of on this whole like entitlement type of thing, like on Twitter anyway, just like if I'm up against a certain thing and I'm not getting my result, then I'm trying to look inside, not outside, right? It's easy to blame your coach, easy to blame people you work with, whatever. And so he was like, I like your whole vibe right now, G. What do you got? So I was kind of kicking around, knew I had like 10 minutes or whatever. And I was like, this thing that Randy Thompson, my stepdad, said to me a really long time ago, and he's the one that got me the job in the coal mine. He worked 40 years underground. So he's a gritty dude, that's to say the least. Yeah. And he was actually referencing it as a fight, not even about his mentality, but it is his mentality. So I've kind of took it, and he was like talking about a guy that was, Randy don't cuss, drink, smoke. He's not your traditional like blue collar dude, because me and you fall in those categories. We so I'm not on my soapbox. I was smoking Newports, drinking 40s, acting crazy. No Busch Light here though. Just saying. Anyway, so I was like, you know, listening to him, and he's like, yeah, he wants to mess with me. He better pack a lunch because he knows I'm not going to run out of gas. And then I started talking to him. I'm like, but that's how you just approach everything, dude. He would work in 16s, doubles, you know, double on his last day. Like he just had that mentality where he was willing to do what it took at a relentless pace for however long it takes. And I think that that's where I kind of took that day and said, oh, this is what I need to be doing. So look, blue collar pack a lunch is a thing. This is like one or two steps more past that, because whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working crazy hours, it's like that you are just showing up and knowing that you're digging in. And we were literally digging in underground.
Well, literally. Yeah.
But the way I kind of told it to Denison that day was, I'm standing in front of a group of guys that are same age as I was when he said that, 18, 19, 20 years old. And I looked at one kid, and it wasn't about him, but I said, if you're in front of me right now, I'm going to pack a fucking lunch every fucking day to push you to be the best you can be. Because if you slip up, I'm taking your fucking spot. And then after I take your fucking spot, I'm packing a lunch again so you can't get it back. And if you purely beat me because you're just more talented, then I can live with that. But if you fucking slip up, I'm taking it back. And you ain't getting it back probably. And so it was that whole thing. And dude, you could hear a fucking pin drop. These guys were like, they were locked in. And it felt really good because, you know, a week later, coach is like, yeah, we're using that as our mantra for the year, G. It's a pack a lunch. And I think that, you know, if you can have that mentality of like, dude, we run across how many business things are difficult. It's hard. You want to blame market conditions. You want to blame this guy or whatever. But the reality is, you can't really rest on those things. It's on you. And that's really hard to do for everybody. And I don't do it like that all the time. But usually, if things are continually not working, and I want to blame someone else, I try to go, whoop, put it back on me, and I want to fight against those conditions. So that's really in a nutshell where it kind of comes from, how I've kind of talked about it, and I think there's a lot of layers to it, but that's kind of my mentality.
Pack a lunch has so many different meanings packed into one thing, right? Pun intended on that. But preparation. Like when you pack your lunch for the next day, you're prepared, right? You're going to get hungry. You need fuel. You're working long-ass hours. Pack a lunch for that.
You dig it in because you know you're going to be gone for a while.
Right. So normally, I'm sure it was this way in the mine, but you packed a lunch, you packed a dinner.
Yes,
and then you packed
shifts.
like 3 or 4 like in between meals.
Extras.
Just in case you were there all night, you had a little
salami
bit extra.
And cheese, Little Debbie cakes. Yeah. Oh, mine was epic, bro.
And then you got like, the extra tuna packets, whatever else, just in case, it might be in there for 6 months or 6 years, but always having something extra. That's kind of like your personal fuel tank, man. Mm-hmm. Having something in there to know that I can go the extra mile no matter what happens. I will not give up. I will be relentless in my pursuit. Persistent patience, what I call it now. The patience comes from understanding timeline and what happens if I force it. But I just learned that in the last year or two, where it's always been persistence, nonstop gas pedal all the time. You got to have fuel in your tank to have the gas pedal down all the time.
Yeah,
right?
That's facts.
So packing lunch, you got to be prepared at all facets. I really like what you talked about. So self-awareness is rare. Mm-hmm. It should be a very common thing. It's rare. We look at like the seasons of life. Every winter, it gets harder. Every winter sucks, right? We're in Ohio, cold weather state. The winters are never going to get easier. They're always going to be cold. The weather's always going to be bad, but we can get better.
Sure.
So any problem in our life is on us, no matter what. How we approach it and what we learn from it and what we do coming out of it, it's on us. Mm-hmm. Business, same way. You had some supply chain issues. We had some supply chain issues. We run into economic issues. It's on us. As business leaders and owners, it's on us. No matter what, the outcome is on us.
Well, I always think like, all right, there is these quote unquote economic issues, but I don't watch the news. I watch the stock market, but I don't really watch the news, right?
Yes.
So I can see the things where the crude oil is going up or down. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not an idiot. I pay attention to stuff like from a money standpoint, but the reality is I have to think to myself that if my skill set is as good as I think I am or want to be, then if I have, any pop to me, I should be agile enough to figure it out in this time frame to be unique enough to separate myself enough to battle this to where if the percentage would be down X, I'm only down X because of the skill set, work, relentlessness, whatever it is. And so I put that on me and our team to say, no. Like it's easy to just say, oh, well, so-and-so's down this much percent too. Fuck that. Yeah. Like I didn't sign up to be like everyone else. That's not what I get up every day to do. I get up to try to be a separator, like in my industry and business, the way that I operate. And so then when it's really time to step up in that moment, I can't then do what everyone else does. I mean, that's just not the way it works.
Right. Winter is like a recession or a bad economic time. It's always going to come no matter what. The last 7,000 years on Earth, there has always been a winter. The sun's going to go up and it's going to come down every single day, right? Well, you just have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Life doesn't get easier. Don't wish things would get easier. Just get better. Yeah, we have to get stronger. And that's another point, kind of what you just said. We never stop getting better. Mm-mm. We will have a next destination, next goal, something on the calendar. Continuous improvement is never going to go away for us. We're going to get buried in the ground, still trying to get better until that very last breath. I think that's the separator. I think that's the real thing about pack a lunch.
It's being curious too. Curiosity to get better is important, Jake.
Well, and it would be easy for us to get comfortable, complacent, maybe.
And I have at times, for sure. Everybody does.
But there's a time where you don't really know why your discipline's dialed in, like what I just went through, 6 months or so ago. I didn't understand why I was dialing that in until 3 months later when I realized, damn, I'm really glad that I'm dialed right now, because if I wasn't dialed to the point I'm at, this would be a lot harder. My lunch pail would be empty by lunch, right?
Yeah. Your execution couldn't be as elite, bro, just because it ain't there.
Right. And as we grow in entrepreneurship and what we do, problems are always going to rise and they're going to get bigger.
No question.
But us getting better, it's just an opportunity now.
Well, I just think it allows us to handle it better, because what we're really doing is putting ourselves through this washing machine every day so we can tackle on the things that are coming our way. And so I can make decisions with a calm, cool head that I know, that I believe in, that will change, the future of this business or that business, or the path of how we're operating. But that all comes down to an intentional mindset of how we just operate. And I think that having that base level with like a gritty work ethic, like I showed you the thing this morning about how Men's Health put me out, which was super cool. But the first thing I couldn't wait to get to, I've been working in the fucking warehouse all day. I actually found this hat in a box. I was pretty excited. But it was like, I came in here because that was what was happening today. And I was excited about doing it because we just got it painted. Shit needed to move back. Like, of course I could have delegated it probably, but I was like, I don't know. It's just like, I still enjoy things like that. And I know that's not some crazy thing like we used to do. But the reality is, like, I didn't think this morning because I was a feature on Men's Health magazine that I couldn't come work in my warehouse.
Exactly.
To me, that's part of like the pack of lunch in how I operate. You know what I mean?
Like the humble beginnings, not forgetting where you come from. And sometimes I'm sure you do this too, where you might just come do that. Just remember, just like, just a little bit of like,
I'm
humble.
actually better at that stuff. And so that's where it's weird with me. I would rather have a shovel in my hand than do an actual operational act.
Right.
But then I can create the whole thing.
Right.
I'm a weird
Envision
mix.
it, not develop
I'm more, I'm more comfortable in the visionary role, which you are, I believe, too, in the labor role. I'm very uncomfortable in the in-between, because you give me a fucking shovel and we got a clock.
You got a job to do, you know what it
Yeah,
looks
and like
right?
you're going to be in trouble because I just know my work capacity,
Because
right?
you packed out lunch.
You got it. And then on the other side, I can also roll with the best of them on that because of the way that I just operate. I think it's just how I am.
It's such a foundational like understanding of what it truly takes. I think another part of this pack of lunch, dude, this shit's tough.
Oh yeah, it's
you
tough.
have to be prepared.
Yeah, it's real
I mean,
tough, man.
12 years for me, everything I had, 12 years, I packed a lunch every day. I still pack a lunch, even to this day.
Always
Like,
will have to.
I will always literally pack a lunch.
Yeah.
And my mentality is always going to continue to pack a lunch. Like, it will never go away. And understanding what it took to get where you're at, but also understanding that it's a reflection and an appreciation for what you've been able to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But finding joy in the journey, you know, and enjoying the process, but having that foundational root. We walk into the old school gym in the morning. Dude, for me, it's been nothing but gratitude the last like 6 months, because it's just been like a grateful come in 10 to 15 minutes on the bike warming up, and I'm just appreciating everything here. I'm looking at the fiberglass falling off the ceiling, like all the shit flying everywhere. You don't know what kind
I
of
got that checked, by the way. It's legal. You're good. I was like, before I buy this building, can you check that for me?
Yeah.
Just make sure that ain't something.
But it's just that appreciation of that foundational, like, this shit is hard. And
I was dug in-
adversity, like, has hit us all in our own way.
Bro, yeah.
But the simple reminder of what that adversity looks like and how we've overcame it, but it's going to hit again.
Well, I think this is the thing to understand. Like, nothing really good lasts for super long, and nothing really bad lasts for super long. And so, if you kind of stay at the median with intention, I think you have a better
Just
opportunity.
Keep it good, not
you just
great,
gotta keep
not
it
bad.
good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like, I was super dug in on a bunch of stuff that wasn't that fun yesterday. But literally, I pull up to the gym this morning, and I go on Twitter to literally tweet like "Wake your ass up," and at the same time as I go on, the Men's Health post is posting like real time. Like, I catch it real time in the feed, and it's me in the fucking gym, and I'm like, this is fucking sick. And even more so when I go to the article, which they never had me fucking proofread, so I had to text the guy. He was in Vegas, who was still up, but whatever. And I was like, it's got a picture of me and AG in there flexing in the mirror. That's the second main picture. And I'm like, this is dope. You know what I mean? So it's like it coming off of yesterday, leaving here at 8 o'clock, doing a bunch of shit, and then getting up, back at fucking 3 a.m., 3:20 to, be here, and then getting that little nudge. Like, hey, gee, the diet from a year ago, the push from a year ago, like that paid off today.
We talked about shit from 10 years ago for you with injury lining up and diet, protocol. Not forgetting that. And sometimes reflection is very powerful. So
very
understanding
powerful.
like, hey, I had a similar situation 10 years ago. I went through this, I did this, and here was the result. sometimes, you know, the
Things are
answer that you're looking
cyclical,
for, you've already overcame a situation similar, and you can take that like foundational pack a lunch mentality and get past that.
I keep seeing this thing, Jake, that says like the problems that you have, you wish 5 years ago you'd have, like something like more like, so I think reflection for me is never like, oh, I'm so sweet, let me reflect. It's more like, damn, there has been, it's almost like somebody that sees themselves every day in the mirror, they can't tell they're changing.
Right.
And then you see a family member you ain't seen in a while, and they're like, bro, you look crazy. Yeah. It's almost like you need that in your own way to metaphorically like pat yourself on the back in a healthy way, not so you can rest. See, that's the thing is like, sometimes when people get to a certain point, and we've all been subject to this, I think, it's like, oh, I can pump the brakes. Because I used to get that question, gee, why are you still eating like this and training early? And I'm like, this is just
job ain't done.
It's the job ain't done. It's the mom mentality. It's like, this is just who I am. I'm not doing this to myself. I'm doing it for myself. Yeah. Like there's a difference.
I don't need to do it. I want to do it.
This isn't like discipline against Cory. This is discipline for me, hopefully, to live my dreams one day. And this is what it requires.
Well, you are living your dream too at the same time. Like you have this desire that you know, this outcome that you're searching for, but it's not the outcome that's going to make you feel satisfied. It's what you're doing right now.
I had outcomes before, man. It's not the same. It's the locker room. Every pro athlete that's come through here, first time you ask them about something, they might say, well, yeah, I won that ring or I did this. But it's like, man, I missed the locker room.
The day-to-day.
That's the process.
Yeah. Join the journey, dude. Yeah.
So I think that is the number one thing I've heard from every pro or college athlete I've ever dealt with. And that's why I always say, like, well, we still got the locker room at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? We got the camaraderie here at Max. It's like, that's something that I've kept intact for a really long time that I think has contributed to my continued enthusiasm towards digging in, not to mention the stuff that's the backdrop of trying to change all these, change everything.
You know, with the 4 a.m. crew, it's a unique time right now with the 4 a.m. crew. You know, been kind of scattered all over the place in the last couple of years. But you know, the one thing that we haven't even talked about this, but I've really, really noticed this in the last probably year. Everybody's growing.
Oh yeah,
but more outside of the gym
for sure,
and just in life.
Yep,
the growth of Treadway.
That's what it's always been about.
Everybody of the 4 a.m. crew is growing to a new height.
I would agree.
Todd, John, they're getting lean. They're getting diced
up.
Like
in their business, like Todd's business lately, like a lot of the talks that we're having in between. And what's interesting is, it's not that it's not about the weights, because it's still about the weights, and the weights will come through their cycle again, where guys are wiping chalk, and even Matheny, who just hasn't been here most recently, but just because he opened his own business, he wiped a dude's number on the chalk and then opened the business. Same thing. So I'm okay if guys are leaving because they're getting better.
Right.
That's why they came here in the first place.
Exactly. That's the whole point, right? The evolution.
It's the whole point.
Like Jay Collin,
dude,
world record. Starts his own thing, like pursuing his dream. Right.
And I told his ass, dude, you need to go back.
Dude, go. Yeah. He's still a 4 a.m. crew. I mean, like he's always going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just texted him today. He said, yeah, you walk in my gym. He's like, two Guinness Book World Records hanging on the wall. Yeah. Fuck with that, man. It's excellence.
Dude, it's excellence. I didn't get to see the second one, but that first round, dude.
One of the most impressive things I've ever seen, bro.
That mile was insane.
Pace was elite of the elite. And just the mindset, once again, to dig in like that every day. And so that mentality, man, like I've said this so many times, like, and I just posted a clip yesterday that got shared a decent amount. Like, I'm just not that talented of a dude. I'm not gonna outsize anybody or outlean them, or my genetics are really not that great. They're not terrible, but I mean, I wasn't like getting recruited to play anything. Like, I'm not an outlier.
Right.
The only thing that's an outlier about me is I've known who I am and where I want to go at a young age. Yeah. And I applied this mentality at a young age. And then when I was up against some really difficult things, I've always found a way through them. And I've tried not to repeat the mistake again, because that's the definition of insanity.
I think that happens as we get older. I think we are able to reflect on it more from an understanding of what things fell into place to get there.
Yep.
and then, okay, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. When we're younger,
Yeah.
it's just, throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. But as we mature, that patience part of the persistence comes in.
Yeah, I think now at this point in my career, I definitely have more of that than ever. But it's like one of those things where it's still never fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also realized that if you just kind of let go of that being part of it, and you just once again dig in, that usually more things happen faster.
So just
It's
like
just
the
tricky.
island, right?
Yeah.
We talked about, we can put all the effort into it. We can push and push and push and push. If you put in 100%.
Yeah.
So it cannot be on the outcome. The outcome is not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had good outcomes when I didn't put 100% in, and
Yeah,
I've had
that's
bad outcomes when I put all my chips in.
That's facts.
So it's really about the effort that you apply, about your intent with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the outcome isn't the whole entire story.
No,
It's just a portion of it. That's the desire, but
Yeah.
really
Well-
enjoying that as you go.
And it
There's
doesn't.
a lot of it.
So this is one thing that I picked up on, like some of the content I've been consuming lately. It's like there's some people that have some massive success, and the hole is still there,
Yeah.
whatever that is for them,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like for me, because I've touched certain levels of this whole thing, like I know that it was something else.
Yep.
There was definitely a point of like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to this level or been able to learn from this person or whatever that is, or sell this much. But the reality is I knew it was still like internal. There's
is,
still
dude.
things I need to work on.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why, like, I'll call it my third act. My first act was personal training. My second act was MP. And then my third act, which is, Max and CoryG Fitness. It's like I've really been able to settle in on like, I want to operate a certain way. And then if I can just execute that, which we're sitting in part of that, right? This is part of my last night. I was here till 8 because of the painters and I was working on stuff, but I was a smoking cigar in the room that you and Ryan helped me build, and Cody. And so it's like the reality is like that's a way to operate. And so all of these things that I've created, I've seen in my head and thought, if I'm going to be doing this for however many more years, because it's just me,
Yep.
meaning like this is who I am, then I need to continue to put together the way that I want to operate and the way that I see it. And part of the island thing that we're building, it being that close, utilizing for content and just like a getaway that's quick is all part of it. And it'll even be more part of it when I execute my next plan.
Yeah.
And so I think that the ability, I'm real thankful that I have like that ability to see that. But that took a long time, you know what I mean? But I had to go through the process and almost, I would say, get to the top of the industry. And even though it kind of crumbled when I was there, like the reality is I knew that really wasn't it. And so I was able to say, well, what is it?
Yeah.
And build the authentic version of what I think's it.
When you understand that the success isn't an external thing, it's internal, right? And it's not about that destination, it's about that journey.
Yeah.
The journey is, what you do internally to provide that external result. But if you're miserable in the journey, you're not going to find any joy in the destination.
I was pretty miserable in the journey at times prior too. There were some really like crazy highlights that were wild to look back at. And I just found a bunch of stuff that I'd sent to some of the guys, like me like interviewing Johnny Manziel, throwing the football back and forth and standing there with Tiger and some crazy shit. But there was some like, it made me who I am now, which I think is a more efficient, smarter, confident person because I went through a bunch of bullshit. But the reality is like, it wasn't all the way my vision. So it was a joint vision, and some of the things I probably wouldn't have re-signed up for, and some of the things I would.
Right.
And so I think that was part of it. So I was kind of in a fucking matrix
Right.
where I was able to really take a deep breath after and go, what part of this would I replay?
Mm-hmm.
And what part of this would I not replay? Right. And then that's what I went to go do.
Whenever I look back and I reflect, I think about that 12 years to buy R&R Pipeline. Me and Cody team up, and we went 5 or 6 years just relentless, all in every day, 6 or 7 days a week for that whole entire time frame. And thinking that this one lifetime achievement, this is Mount Everest. And like get up to the top of Mount Everest and you're up on top and you're looking down this mountain, and then you realize that ain't the mountain because the cloud cover comes over and there's another mountain to climb. And we never stop climbing. So it's not getting to the top of the mountain because you're never going to. It's about enjoying the climb. And understanding like 2 days after, I didn't know why up until probably a year ago, where I was able to kind of figure it out. This accomplishment of buying this company is external. It doesn't fulfill me internally because I didn't enjoy the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Jim Havens, we were sitting at a table in our conference room. The bank that we were originally signed up with dropped us, and I was like devastated. And we had a closing date all lined up. Like everything was going perfect. And then we got hit in the mouth. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Well, we got punched in the face hard, and I had no plan. But luckily, I had good people around us. And he just said, "Isn't this fun?" And I was furious at first, but that was probably one of the first times of understanding that this is fun. Because I will never be in this position again where I have absolutely nothing left to give. Yeah. I'm all in. Everything is all in. This is to fulfill this one big goal that I've had. That one first big step, right? Every first step, you start your own gym at 20 years old. Like that first one, probably the most meaningful.
Yeah.
Especially at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe we are able to understand later in life what it actually means more, and that this was just a stepping stone.
I just need to know that it would actually be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, 1999, I don't know a personal trainer. I don't know anybody that supports their life personal training. Like the fact that anybody wanted to pay me for how much I knew at that point, which is fucking kind of hilarious. My son knows more than I do from him lifting with me like at 20 than I ever knew owning my own gym. It's unbelievable. Just the resources that are available. So the fact that it just like, that was such a big thing because I knew it could be a thing. I was enthusiastic about it. I was putting in the work, but could I actually be a professional at it? I mean, it was as unproven as unproven comes.
Well, I mean, yeah, you had Richard Simmons and
I didn't even really have like an idol of it because there really wasn't one. There's bodybuilders and
pumping
stuff
iron from the 70s.
Yeah, there's
like 20 years old
but they weren't
point.
personal trainers.
No.
They were fucking Arnold's a movie star.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like, and to think that I would ever work with them is like insane. So it was like so hard to grasp at that time. I think that was such a big win for me, Jake, because I was like, well, if I just made this wasn't a thing, then, and I'm only this age, and I know what I'm willing to do because I did it.
Because you packed lunch, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to that.
And exactly, and I was like, man, then what is actually possible? And I can tell you, like, I don't think I've ever really been the same since the first day. I had 8 or 10 clients in my own facility, and I just knew, okay, I clearly broke through something, whether I was too dumb to know it or just naive or whatever I signed the leases. I'm not going to have anybody look over them. Like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember, like, Dustin coming to me, some of my other buddies, like, gee, you know what you're doing? I'm like, no, I have no fucking clue.
But I know I'm committed to it, right?
I gave myself like 3 months rent up front because I had the money, and that was it. You know what I mean? And I just figured it out. So I think that was a big confidence booster for me young. And I've really looked at a lot of situations the same way, kind of ongoing. And yeah, I don't know. I do find myself like when I go out to lunch or whatever and it starts raining, I start thinking, oh, I like this. And it's because I know someone else would just go back in.
Yeah. Because it's easier.
It's easier to stay the same, and it's way harder to change. And so I do know that I go through these little psycho situations where it's like I'm digging in something real difficult in business. I have a pity party for myself for a second, and then I go, all right, you fucker, like get it together and figure out what the deal is. Your skill set is better than this. Like you're better than this. Yeah. I figure it out. And then I get like to that weird part where I go, oh, this is going to be awesome when I'm hot again. Like I can't wait. And then it's like it does it. I hit something that makes it go. And then this is the part the last 2 times I felt like I did a good job at, and I want to do even a better job this next time, is when it's going real good, I ain't spending no different.
Even kill.
Correct.
Jocko always talks about staying, like everything's good. Yeah. The response to everything is good. And he was that way as a leader.
You get feeling yourself too much, and it's like you stay, because what I did a good job the last run is I was putting my money in the spots I needed to put it in. And so when things are a little flat and you still want to execute, if I didn't do that the last time, I wouldn't be doing the island right now. Because I tried to explain to some of the guys I work with, like the island has nothing to do with what's going on right now. It's everything I did years ago that set me up to even execute on this opportunity.
1000%.
Has nothing to do with today.
Yeah.
And so, and I would argue the thing I saw, men's health, it had nothing to do with today. It was from the last run. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things, like understanding like what you're doing today is what's contributing to tomorrow. And what Peter Attia said, Dr. Peter Attia has talked about even from a training standpoint, like what you're able to do physically, Cory Gregory at 45 is really because I trained up to this point. It's like you can't just stay the same and expect to do the same at 55 as you can at 45.
Right.
And so the reality is today's training was really for tomorrow
Right.
too.
1000%.
And so
or 6
all of
months
that,
from now,
or
it's like
6 months
that,
from now. Yeah.
it is for the immediate fix, but it's also for that long-term fix where
Might be for the immediate mental fix.
yeah, yes,
but it's
most
for
definitely, most definitely.
for the future physical fix. So I
Yeah.
think, but once again, no one is perfect. Everyone goes through all these waves of time.
This commercial break is brought to you by the Pipeline to Prosperity newsletter.
Baseline. So, and the baseline is here. You're not too hot. You're not too cold. You can dig in for when things are going great, Jake. You cannot overspend or feel yourself too much. When they're going flat or bad, you're still in a good position to execute. And once again, the things that are happening now aren't from right now. They're from previous execution and packing a lunch. And I think it's like so easy to get caught up in either.
It is.
But you need a constant reminder that that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Things are waves, whether it's the market, whether it's economics, whether they're the same. I mean, it's all that stuff, bro.
Winter's going to come, then it's going to get sunny out. Summer's going to come, and it's going to turn around and get shitty again.
Yep.
And it happens every year, and it always has, and always will.
It's not going to
Just
change.
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of in another way to put that too. If you pack a lunch and you pack a dinner and you got 3 snacks, if you eat it all at lunch, right, and you're full, you're too full, you're not performing well. Like when the times are good and you're just enjoying it, you're not putting that work in. What happens when dinner time comes around? You're still grinding, pretty hungry, right? So, not eating too much or fulfilling yourself too much on this accomplishment, and keeping that even kill. I started doing content probably a year ago, because of a reference from you about just getting it out. Right, we had talked about
You
that.
just need reps, man.
So I was, I think it was Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins' book, and he had talked about whenever he'd wake up and be in a shitty mood, he would videotape himself first thing in the morning in this shitty mood and just say what he's feeling. So I did that for probably 3 weeks. Like, felt like a tough spot, just didn't understand which direction I was going, whatever. And I would do that, and then I would get done at the gym. I'm like, who is this soft ass weak dude?
Yeah.
Because it's when you watch yourself be in this bad mood,
Yeah.
after you just went to the gym and you did something you're grateful for, it really does change your perspective.
Oh.
And he talked about doing that every day, and then he had friends do it, and like it's very, very impactful to see yourself be pathetic.
I would say the opposite too. I've taped myself when I was like dialed. And then I've even seen, like, I remember watching an old MP video, and I remember what I looked like, magazines I was shooting, all that stuff before that photo shoot. And I watched the interview, and I was like, where's that guy at?
Yep.
I could see it.
100%.
Dude, I could just hear myself. And I was like, that confidence is at the top. But I knew everything that was happening along those times, good, bad, and indifferent, how I was handling it, how my training was, what I was eating. Like, I just remember it because of the time frame. And I was like, okay, I'm not that guy right now.
Right.
I might not be far off that guy,
Yep.
but I'm not that. That is what moves the needle. And so I think that both of those are good things to have. And I remember this last time, which is part of the time that kind of the men's health, I had kind of a run like that, and I did the same thing. I just videotaped myself saying, remember what you feel like right now. Remember this. So I think those things, although sound maybe hokey to some people, part of it is trying to keep it on the tracks, keep it in line towards
And
what
being self-aware of what's good and what's bad, man.
And just like, a lot of people get addicted to their normal feeling. They don't realize how good they can feel, how confident they can feel. And if your like baseline is still here, you might float up here and you might float, but you don't want to go below the line too much. And there's an expectation that for what we're trying to accomplish, there's a level it has to stay at, or it just won't work.
Yeah.
It just won't work.
And the reality,
I can't be this guy.
Right.
If I don't.
we're climbing this mountain, a flight of stairs, however you want to look at it. You're not going to take these massive, massive jumps and just go all the way to the top doing that. It's a consistent climb over time. It's one step at a time every single day. It's putting that deposit in every single day and just working, chipping away at that, that end goal or that place you want to be. But motivation, will take you this big jump. More than likely, though, just pure motivation will take you up and then take you back further back from where you started. I've seen so many people that over a span of 10 years have gained 100 pounds and want to lose 100 pounds in 3 months. It's not going to work. It's a motivation because they're unhappy with their current state. Mm-hmm. And instead of just embracing it and enjoying the process, they're losing a little bit at a time like they gained a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Compound
effect of bad habits works the same way as it does with good habits.
Absolutely.
So things take time. Appreciating that journey, though. I mean, there's a lot of power in just that one step every day and then just getting that consistent discipline lifestyle in place. We are more disciplined now. I am more disciplined now than I've ever been. I would say you are probably as well because you know exactly what you want out of life and you're continuing to do every day what you need to. I'm documenting more now about my day-to-day. I take my damn shirt off every day just to know I look better than I've ever looked. I feel better than I've ever looked. My winter was last year when I tore my pec. Yep. And I had the stem cell injections in my knee and all the rehab of 2 years. You just went through all of that for 4 or 5 years of injury. So when you get peeled again, and we're on Buckeye Lake in June, July, having
when Morgan's playing a concert at the Island,
and we're all peeled up, we're going to be very, very present and appreciate that moment
for sure
because of the past 5 years of injuries and all the hardship.
I've been real appreciative of the training because of that.
I think that's why my gratitude's where it's at now. Like I'm still dealing with injuries, but I'm in the best shape of my life, mentally and physically. So I don't want to forget what that feels like when the winter comes again because I know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. About did it yesterday when I tried to ego pull twice. But I know that something's going to happen again. It's just part of the game. But I'm prepared for it when it does. Better than I've ever been before. Yeah,
I think the gratitude around training has been really cool. I think, once again, I'm excited to get up and compete and be here. Very rarely am I like, oh, I don't want to go. I would say like that almost never happens. And
I don't even think about it, dude.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like the only time is that happened anytime recently was if I didn't follow my guidelines and I got like super hammered the night before, or I was like my back was fucked up or something. But other than that, no, I don't ever feel that way because I know I'm going to feel better than when I walked in. Yep. And I know that there's also a group of people out here that are using me as their motivation, right? Because I've been leading them down this kind of path for a really long time. I have some people who've been supporting me, man, since like 2008 or 10, talking 15 years plus. Like
me.
It's exactly. It's a minute, bro. So it's one of those things where, from in-person to online. So, I take that as a responsibility, but it's also so much part of my mentality back to where we originally started that I just know that's what it's going to take for me to hopefully get a chance, not guaranteed, but a chance to live out the dreams and these experiences that I've always wanted for myself, my family, and the people that I operate with. And I just know I'm the conductor of it.
Right.
It's just what it is, man. I know I've known that my whole life. I need help. I don't always know the answers, but I know it starts with me.
Yep.
And if I'm a self-starter dude that can execute, then I think the rest of the stuff will fall in line. And I put it on myself, and then with great support that I have with all the businesses and my friends and family, it's been a good balance. So
encouragement, inspiration, guidance comes in all shapes and sizes, and for me, it's been very humbling the last few months because I've had a ton of outreach. This is a new endeavor, and knowing that I am making an impact like I had desired to do, it's encouraging for me when someone reaches out to me and said, "Man, I remember you from 10 years ago." It's good to see this all come in full circle when it's actually working. Yeah. Like it's encouraging for me when someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey man, keep doing your thing," because I was in a bad spot a couple months ago and now I'm in a much better spot because of this. I had 2 people reach out to me this week, and one of them, "What the hell are you doing with your life?" question. I had put that person in that same spot that you did for me and help them out. And, got a chance to guide them through a situation again. And I told them, like, dude, I'm proud of you because you took the risk.
Yeah.
You were not scared to fail. You were more scared about staying the same than trying to change. Be proud of it. Like, embrace it.
How many things have we messed up?
Dude,
Tons.
a lot. But what I always try to let people know, and the other person was, hey, I want some of your time. Okay, why? Question it. Challenge them like what you always did.
Yeah, I always do that.
Compound effect, YouTube, send them the audio from the compound effect.
Read this, then tell me you want my time still.
168 hours in 1 week. Here's 4 hours.
Yeah.
You put in 4 hours, then 168 this week. Get a hold of me Sunday. We'll talk. If you can't do that, no time. I don't have any time for it. So small challenge. That person's life will be different if they do it. You know it, and I know it. Not because I'm going to give them my time, because I know that I can help them, but because they dedicated themselves to doing something in the short term that has no tangible reward, right? But what I told this person is, I appreciate you reaching out because that encourages me to keep going.
Yeah.
So
I always message people back the same
100%.
day.
So packing a lunch, there's times where we didn't pack enough to eat that day.
Facts.
But maybe one guy on the crew overpacked. Every once in a while, it's that
Fudge round, bro. Throw me that fudge round, player.
it's that last fudge round that saves you that night, right? So it's that like little bit of encouragement every once in a while that keeps you going.
Yeah.
And kind of like packing a lunch, man.
I honestly
I've
got
came
that
up short.
this morning with just the men's health thing,
Yeah.
Jake. That was what I just needed, that little bit of a light
Right.
from yesterday.
And you didn't know you needed it until you got it, right?
I felt like I needed it, and I was
Yeah.
happy I got it.
So
but here, I want to say this real quick. It's like, the reality is that it's so difficult, bro, to try to forge your own path, do these things, and try things. Don't beat yourself up when they don't work.
expect them not to.
You got to go into situations expecting to win confidently and prepared.
Yeah.
I get all that. But just know, like, my wife makes the joke all the time. How many jobs you had, Cory? How many things you tried? Like, we should make a list. I think we forgot half of them. Like, and it's true because I was just after it. But I never really beat myself up. I'm a fucking winner, bro. I've been a winner since the day I walked out of that coal mine.
Dude.
And Irene gave me $20 to show her bicep curls.
Yeah.
This shit didn't work. I knew that wasn't the it.
Yeah.
So my point is, like, don't beat yourself up. Just know it literally is part of the process. It's required.
Mm-hmm.
And that the best people I've been around, they've tried all kinds of stuff. And they only need one thing to work.
Dude, that's it.
Or a couple things to work. That's it. So a lot of people beat themselves up real bad because they're so worried about what everyone else thinks. Hormozy says it all the time.
3 generations.
Dude, motherfuckers are going to die.
Yeah.
And if you die and it rains, they still might not come to your funeral.
Yeah.
So why the fuck do you care?
And 3 generations, we're all going to be dead. Who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. So
If the person that's criticizing you, which never happens, by the way, but if that person is where you want to go and they're giving you shit, then it's something to look into.
yeah, most of the time
But
they've never been there though.
Never.
I always would run it through. Wait, this person that's giving me advice, have they done it? Oh, they haven't? Late.
Yep, irrelevant.
Wow.
Yeah. If you got a problem with it, with what I'm doing,
It's your own fucking
call me
problem.
about it.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, if you don't have my cell phone number, it's
if
a you
they've
problem, not me.
executed it, that's why I always said, like, I love family and friends, but if they're putting their own insecurities on you,
Yep.
that's the thing, and you can be
1000%.
you can be respectful of it, and I have, but I would say, like, even when I first started my own business, the guy that I was working with or for at first at this club, he put all those insecurities on me. I said, bro, you don't know what I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
You knew what you were willing to do. I'm different, bro.
Yep.
I'm a different dude. And so, like, now at 20-year-old Cory, I got to go prove that through packing lunch, through work ethic, through all these things. But the reality is, like, he's saying those things to me, and I remember hearing him, and it was a guy I respected. He was in his 40s, and I was like, bro, you don't really fucking know me.
Right.
Like, you just don't know what I've been through, what my family's been through, what I'm willing to do to not be the guy that you think that I might be.
1000%.
And I think that because these little failures, they didn't really faze me. Like, it sucks, but it wasn't really. I never even looked at them as failures. I just looked at, oh, that didn't work.
Dude, you wouldn't be where you're at
Next.
if you wouldn't have failed along the way. That's where you
Yeah.
learn the most is when you fail.
Those are the biggest teachers. So I think, like, don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of what people are thinking. Like, just know you're going to dig in and do what's necessary for as long as it's going to take, with a relentless pursuit. And when shit gets more difficult, try to give yourself a fucking little bit of grace. Smile at yourself in the fucking mirror and say, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out. And I'm willing to pack this fucking thing every day till I figure it out. And that's just
1,000%. So I have realized more recently, I have been fighting my environment my whole life, right? To get where I'm at now, what was presented to me as opportunity, I had to kick down the road and present my own opportunity to my own self by creating my own environment, going against the grain, same as what you did. None of what we have accomplished has been handed to us. It's all been earned. Now we understand it's internal, it's not external. And our external showcase is our internal persistence and our drive. But I have packed a lunch for so long, I don't know any better now. I don't know any different.
We've brainwashed ourselves.
It's almost like a psychotic, obsessed desire that cannot be shut off.
It's psychotic.
It is psychotic. I know. So
I'll confirm it from my psychotic to your psychotic.
Well, I would say I'm transitioning into full understanding of that, because at 1:30, I woke up at like 1:10 this morning. I went to bed at 10 last night. Like 1:10, 1:15 this morning, I pop up. There is no way in hell I'm going back to sleep, dude.
I woke up at the same time, ironically, because I forgot to set my alarm. So I set my alarm, and I did go back to bed because I was like, there's no way I'm going from 1 till whatever.
I didn't know. I looked at what time it was, obviously, but I went to the office 2 hours before I came to the gym.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, like, and that happens every once in a while.
You got me today. There was no way I was doing that.
Well, and I mean, it's not. I'm not going to feel good about it tonight.
No.
But there is a point where you packed out lunch. You just have this expectation.
Yeah.
And you expect to continue to pack out lunch, and you're going to continue to pack out lunch.
Sometimes when the enthusiasm is at a point, it's like you can't go back to sleep.
Right.
And so,
like right now for me, it is like,
and that's where like that surge of energy comes by whatever you're working on. That when people say, "Oh, if you do your thing, you're so passionate about, you never work a day," blah blah blah. Like, there's a certain aspect to the excitement and the enthusiasm of the opportunity and the execution of what you're into that happens like that. And sometimes that's hard to explain to people. I totally get it, but it's like, you know, this morning I was like, I'll just start at 3:20.
Yeah. So, you know, right now for me, we're doing some big transitions in the business. Like, things are going good, but they're just going good. We had some bad business situations last year, but it was still a good year because we learned a lot. So even right now at a peak, at a high, it's still just good. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's not, you know, we're just killing it, whatever. It's still good. Last year was still good.
Yeah.
The roller coaster has to go down. The winter's going to come. But as long as you pack lunch and prepare every day, you're going to be ready for it.
At some point, it's like surviving, whether it's a good survival, bad survival, medium survival. It's like you're in the game, you're kicking, you're giving yourself a chance to fill your way there.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's really what it comes down to. Try enough different things at the wall. I would say also, like, I watched this interview with Ice Cube that was really good from Lewis Howes. And he said, he asked him what's the thing he learned off Dr. Dre? Because, you know, I mean, Dre is legendary, obviously. He was like, Dre just listens to his intuition.
Yep.
I think a lot of people like don't really listen to their gut feeling per se. And normally you already know the answer. It might not be the most convenient answer.
Right.
But in every major situation that I've went through, I already knew the answer. And usually I knew it well before it actually played out because of maybe some factors or whatever. So I would think, like, along this process, as you're packing a lunch and you're trying to push, like, listen to the gut feeling, listen to your intuition, and, you know, believing in things that aren't there yet is really difficult.
Yeah.
And that's like in the unseen, right? So you have to have faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in what you're going to go do. And then as you're prepared, you can start to see those things become a reality.
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest things of all time.
It is.
Taking
it is
an idea.
very powerful. Yeah.
You know, well, once again, to believe in things you can see and touch is no belief at all. But to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing, which is what I got yatted on my arm. And it's like, that's just like the definition of faith from Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
You have to create these things. And so, you know, there's a lot that goes into this, but it's not just some imaginary manifestation bullshit. No. There actually has to be work and intention and reps around it. And if you do those things, you will absolutely get better. It's virtually impossible not to.
And back to the, seeking out advice, gut feeling. A lot of times, advice is what you seek when you know the answer and you wish you didn't. How many times have you known probably what the answer is?
Oh, yeah.
You still consult the people in your network, maybe just for confirmation, maybe just for a second opinion, but you know.
Well, I normally say when I have those conversations, I say, I already know the answer. I'm just looking for confirmation that it's the right answer.
Because we've been wrong before.
They normally laugh and go, yeah, you know, G.
And we've had a lot of those conversations
For sure.
recently, too.
Yeah, of course.
CoryG, I appreciate you.
This is a great episode.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks,
Pack a
man.
lunch, be prepared, commit to being persistent and relentless in your pursuit. Find joy in the journey, not the destination.
You're getting
Don't
good.
have destination disease.
Hey, I want to commend you. You're getting good on the mic, bro. You
It's
come
getting
a long ways. You come a long ways from me taking this to commercial break.
I swear, Treadway. Well, not only that, but the first couple I did by myself, Treadway was like, "Oh shit, this is never gonna work." He never told me that, but I know it.
So
Iron
good.
and
So
Infrastructure Podcast. We're out
later. Good job.